The first life ended the way she had always feared, alone, betrayed, and utterly penniless. The grand dreams she had built crumbled beneath the weight of deceit. Her so-called friends had vanished the moment her family lost its fortune, and the man she loved had smiled as he handed her the final knife. As the darkness crept in, she thought she had nothing left to lose. And then, light. Harsh, golden light poured into her vision, and a new world unfolded. The first thing she noticed was the silk beneath her fingertips. Her eyes fluttered open, and the soft, warm ceiling above her was unfamiliar. She tried to sit, but a strange calm washed over her body. Slowly, she realized she was not in the tiny, shabby apartment she had died in. No, this was a room filled with luxury, gilded furniture, velvet curtains, and a wardrobe that seemed to stretch endlessly. A small window notification appeared in the corner of her vision, blinking insistently. System activated, Wealth Accumulation System version 1.0. Welcome, heiress. Your journey toward ultimate fortune begins now. Mission log, complete daily tasks, strategic decisions, and acts of kindness to accumulate wealth points. Her mind screamed that this had to be a dream. She pinched herself, pain. Not a dream. She glanced at a mirror, and the reflection that stared back was hers, yet younger, more refined, and impossibly poised. She raised her hand to her cheek and marveled at the smoothness, the elegance she hadn't possessed in her previous life. A gentle chime rang. Another notification. System update, tutorial available. Press View to begin. She hesitated, then tapped the glowing icon in her mind. Information cascaded before her, every kind act, every clever decision, every meaningful relationship could earn her points. Points could unlock wealth, influence, and status beyond anything her first life had allowed. Points, she whispered, tasting the word like a new currency, a new life. Before she could process more, the door opened. A tall man with impeccable posture entered, bowing slightly. Miss Yun, breakfast is served. Your father will see you shortly. Her father. The CEO of one of the largest conglomerates in the country. A man she had only ever dreamed of meeting, now, inexplicably, he was her father. Questions swirled in her head, but the system buzzed again. New mission, meet your family at breakfast. Reward, plus 50 influence points. She drew in a deep breath and followed the butler to the dining room. The table was immense, with her father seated at the head. To her right, a young woman's sharp eyes studied her with barely concealed suspicion. Her stepsister. The system chimed once more. Observation, potential rival detected. Proceed with caution. The morning passed in a haze of formal conversation. Her stepsister made sly remarks about her clothes, her mannerisms, even her smile. But the system reminded her that each polite rebuttal, each graceful gesture, earned points. Slowly, deliberately, she nodded, smiled, and deflected insults with charm. Her first small victory came at the end of the meal. Mission complete, survive your first family encounter. Reward, plus 100 influence points. Alone in her room afterward, she allowed herself the faintest smile. Her heart pounded, not just from fear, but from exhilaration. She had died once, betrayed by everyone, stripped of everything she held dear. But now, she had a chance to rewrite everything. And she wasn't going to waste it. System notification, daily quests available. Your journey toward ultimate fortune continues tomorrow. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of the Yun mansion, but for her, it brought no comfort, only tension. Breakfast yesterday had been a battlefield of subtle insults and carefully measured smiles, and she knew today would be no different. The stepsister, Harin, had not hidden her disdain, and the system's warning still echoed in her mind. Observation, potential rival detected. Proceed with caution. She adjusted the hem of her designer dress, a gift from a wardrobe she didn't yet understand but trusted the system would guide her on, and descended the grand staircase. Harin lounged on the sofa in the living room, scrolling through her phone with an air of deliberate superiority. "Good morning, sister," she said, her voice smooth but laced with mockery. The system pinged, offering its first real tactical advice. System tip: neutralize hostility with charm. Reward: +20 influence points. She smiled politely, inclining her head. "Good morning, Harin. Did you sleep well?" Harin's lips curled into a bare smirk. "Better than you, I'm sure. After all, not everyone is used to luxury." The comment stung, but she focused on the system's guidance, charm, patience, subtlety. She returned a calm, graceful smile. +20 influence points. The family breakfast was a quiet tension fest. Her father remained polite but distant, observing the two daughters like a general evaluating soldiers. The system chimed again. Mini mission: impress your father at breakfast. Reward: +50 influence points. When her father asked about her plans for the day, she described a thoughtful schedule of meetings with company departments and charity events, careful to emphasize initiative and responsibility. Her father's brow arched slightly, approval flickering in his eyes. +50 influence points. After breakfast, the system provided a new mission notification. New mission: attend your first corporate orientation. Reward: +100 wealth points. The young conglomerate was a towering building of glass and steel, a world she had only glimpsed in magazines. The boardroom was intimidating, the air smelled of power, polished wood, and ambition. Executives whispered as she entered, and Harin was already there, perfectly poised, a sly smile fixed on her lips. "Good morning, everyone," she said, voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. The system prompted. Tip: observe rival behavior. Harin's influence points may surpass yours if ignored. The orientation began with presentations about company operations, profit margins, and future projects. She listened carefully, noting inefficiencies that others overlooked. When the first opportunity arose to contribute, Harin smirked. "Are you sure you understand the projections?" she asked, voice lightly mocking. The system flashed. Decision point: respond with humility or demonstrate competence. Hint: strategy earns more points. She chose carefully. "I noticed a few areas where our production could be streamlined to reduce costs. I'd love to discuss them with the department leads later." Her tone was confident, professional, not confrontational. A murmur of approval rippled through the room. The system rewarded her immediately, +100 wealth points, +30 influence points. Harin's smirk faltered, a flash of surprise in her eyes. The first corporate skirmish had been won. The system chimed again. Mini mission complete, establish presence in first corporate meeting. Reward: +50 influence points. Later, alone in her office, she allowed herself a small smile. The points, the missions, the strategic guidance, they were more than just numbers. They were a roadmap to power, and for the first time since her rebirth, she felt she could truly succeed. But the war with Harin had only just begun. System notification: rival influence detected. Monitor carefully. The air in the young conglomerate boardroom felt heavier than any classroom or meeting she had ever attended. Today, she would face her first real business challenge, not just a tutorial or observation, but a test of skill, wit, and nerve. And of course, Harin would be watching every move. The system pinged softly in her mind. Mission: impress the board with your strategy for the new marketing campaign. Reward: +200 wealth points. She nodded to herself. This was not just about points, this was about proving she belonged. Executives filed in, exchanging polite greetings and subtle glares. Harin took her usual seat, her posture perfect, her expression coolly confident. A glance at the system warned her. Observation: Harin may attempt to undermine your ideas. Proceed with caution. The campaign was struggling. Sales projections had slipped, and the company needed a bold solution. When the CEO turned to her, eyebrows raised, she felt the familiar twinge of nerves, but the system countered it with calm logic. Tip: present ideas with data and clarity. Avoid emotional arguments. She took a deep breath. I've reviewed the current campaign metrics and noticed that our social media engagement is strong among younger audiences, but our retention rate is dropping. If we target premium subscription bundles to loyal customers and incorporate limited-time events, we can increase both revenue and engagement. I've prepared projections showing a potential 15% revenue increase over the next quarter. Harin's eyes narrowed. Interesting, she said, voice silky. But are you considering the risks of oversaturating the market? Our core demographic might feel alienated. The system pinged urgently. Decision point: acknowledge Harin's concern or counter with confidence. She smiled. Absolutely, I considered that. That's why I've proposed a phased rollout, with initial feedback loops to adjust strategy based on user response. We minimize risk while maximizing engagement. Murmurs spread through the room. One senior executive leaned forward, impressed. Plus 50 influence points. The CEO's expression softened, a glimmer of approval. A thoughtful approach. Let's proceed with a pilot program as you suggested. The system chimed with delight. Mission complete, first business challenge successfully navigated. Reward: plus 200 wealth points, plus 50 influence points. Harin's smirk was gone, replaced by a thin line of irritation. She scribbled notes furiously, clearly plotting her next move. Later, during a coffee break, Harin approached. Not bad for a beginner, she said, tone sweet but laced with steel. But don't think this means you can surpass me. The system buzzed. Alert, rival hostility increasing. Suggested action: build alliances and maintain professionalism. She tilted her head, smiling politely. I'm not trying to surpass anyone. I'm just doing my job. And I'd be happy to collaborate if you'd like. Harin's eyes flickered, caught between surprise and annoyance. We'll see, she muttered, walking away. By the end of the day, she felt a thrill she hadn't known in her first life. Each strategic decision, each careful maneuver, was no longer just points on a screen, they were real victories. And the rivalry with Harin, though tense, was shaping her into a sharper, more capable version of herself. The system pinged once more. Daily update: influence points 180, wealth points 350, rival progress Harin 120 influence points. Tip: continue to observe, learn, and act. Your second life is yours to command. Sitting in her office, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. One step closer to mastering the game of wealth and power, and one step ahead of her cunning stepsister. The young conglomerate's office tower gleamed in the morning light, but inside, tension and ambition buzzed louder than the city below. She had survived her first corporate challenge, outmaneuvered Harin, and gained her first real foothold in the company, but today, a different kind of challenge awaited. Her system pinged softly. New mission: build rapport with colleagues and observe potential romantic connections. Reward: plus 50 romance points, plus 30 influence points. She suppressed a groan. Romance. She had no time for distractions, yet the system's guidance was clear: emotional intelligence counted toward influence and points. Her first encounter came sooner than expected. In the marketing department, she ran into Ji-hoon, a young executive she had briefly noticed during the board meeting. His sharp suit and confident demeanor suggested competence, but it was his easy smile that made her pause. Miss Yun, he greeted warmly, bowing slightly. I've been looking forward to working with you on the new campaign. The system pinged. Observation, potential romantic interest detected. Options, professional restraint or subtle engagement. Reward based on choice. She returned his smile. Likewise, Ji-hoon. I think we can make a great team. Over the next hour, they reviewed marketing strategies together. He asked for her opinion on key decisions, listened carefully, and offered thoughtful insights, more than any of her colleagues had done. Every interaction, the system reminded her, counted toward both influence and romance points. Plus 20 influence points, plus 15 romance points. But office politics never rested. Ha-rin appeared, feigning interest in the discussion, her smile sharp as a blade. Working closely with Ji-hoon, are we, she said, her voice syrupy. I hope you don't get distracted. The system chimed. Decision point, ignore, confront, or subtly redirect. Suggested action, maintain professionalism to gain maximum points. She chose calm professionalism. We're reviewing campaign data, nothing more. But I'll let you know if I need your input. Ha-rin's smirk faltered, but her glare lingered. Plus 30 influence points for diplomacy. Later, during a lunch break, Ji-hoon surprised her with a small gesture, a cup of coffee exactly how she liked it, with a note that read, I thought this might brighten your day. The system pinged. Romance choice, respond warmly or professionally. Hint, emotional intelligence will increase points. She smiled, her heart skipping a beat. Thank you, Ji-hoon. That was thoughtful of you. Plus 25 romance points, plus 10 influence points. The rest of the day flowed in a blur of meetings, emails, and quiet glances across conference tables. Ha-rin, still simmering with resentment, subtly questioned her decisions in another meeting, but she handled it with poise, gaining system rewards and the attention of senior executives. By evening, she reviewed her system stats. Daily update, influence points, 250 wealth points, 350 romance points, 40 rival progress, Ha-rin, 160 influence points. Tip, emotional connections can be leveraged strategically, but tread carefully. As she gazed out over the city skyline from her office, she realized something she hadn't expected. This second life wasn't just about wealth and influence. It was about power, yes, but also connection. For the first time since her rebirth, the thought of someone noticing her, not as a tool or rival, but as a person, brought a flutter of excitement she couldn't ignore. And she knew, silently, that Ji-hoon's presence would complicate the game in ways even the system couldn't fully predict. The Yun family gala was the social event of the season, glittering chandeliers, designer gowns, and a room filled with powerful faces who could make or break careers. Tonight wasn't just about appearances, it was about influence, strategy, and survival. And Ha-rin had made it clear that she intended to humiliate her stepsister in front of the entire social elite. The system pinged almost immediately as she entered the grand hall. Mission, outshine your stepsister at the family gala. Reward, plus 500 influence points. Tip, utilize charm, intelligence, and alliances. Observe rival behavior. She adjusted her gown, a flowing emerald masterpiece that hugged her figure without arrogance, and stepped into the glittering crowd. Conversations paused as heads turned, some with curiosity, others with polite disdain. Ha-rin's eyes immediately locked on her, the perfect mask of elegance hiding sharp calculation. The first test came quickly. A prominent investor approached, eyeing her stepsister before glancing at her. Ha-rin smoothly began a conversation, but the system whispered. Action opportunity, interject politely and demonstrate knowledge. Reward, plus 100 influence points. Mr. Kim, she said with a warm smile, stepping forward, I couldn't help but notice your recent expansion into overseas markets. I'd love to hear your insights, it could inform our new campaign strategy. The investor's brow lifted. Very insightful, he said, genuinely intrigued. It's refreshing to see someone so young and well prepared. Plus 100 influence points. Harin's smirk tightened, clearly annoyed. She attempted a subtle insult about her fashion choice, but the system immediately prompted. Decision point: respond with charm, ignore, or retort sharply. She smiled and replied lightly, "Thank you for noticing. I always like to make an impression." The room seemed to lean in subtly, picking up on her poise. Plus 50 influence points. Throughout the evening, she navigated a web of social interactions, flirting lightly with Ji-hoon when he appeared, earning plus 20 romance points, praising key executives publicly, plus 30 influence points, and carefully countering Harin's attempts to dominate conversations. The system kept score relentlessly, every glance, gesture, and word counted toward her ultimate goal. The gala's climax came when the CEO called for a toast. All eyes turned to the daughters. Harin raised her glass with a perfectly rehearsed smile, but she felt the tension in the air. Then it was her turn. She stepped forward gracefully, addressing the room with sincerity and confidence. "Tonight is not just a celebration of success," she began, "but a reminder that progress comes from collaboration, innovation, and courage to take bold steps. I am proud to be part of a family and a company that embodies these values." Applause rippled through the room. Harin's gaze flickered, caught off guard. The system chimed ecstatically. "Mission complete, outshine your stepsister at the family gala. Reward, plus 500 influence points." Later, in a quieter moment, Ji-hoon approached her again, eyes warm. "You were amazing tonight," he said softly, and she felt a flutter in her chest. Plus 20 romance points. She returned his smile, knowing that tonight had been more than just a social victory. She had solidified her presence, gained influence, and subtly marked her stepsister as a rival to be reckoned with. Daily update: influence points 800, wealth points 350, romance points 80, rival progress, Harin, 220 influence points. As she looked around the glittering hall, she realized something profound. In this second life, every decision, social, strategic, or emotional, was a piece of the game. And tonight, she had played it perfectly. The morning after the gala should have been triumphant. Her influence had soared, her stepsister humbled, and Ji-hoon's attention lingered like a sweet reward. Yet, as she reviewed her emails, a cold unease crept into her chest. One message stood out: a confidential internal report leaked to the press, painting her marketing strategy as reckless and the gala's success as hollow. Headlines were already circulating: "Young heiress oversteps, is young conglomerate in danger?" The system pinged urgently. "Alert, reputation threat detected. Immediate action required. Reward, plus 50 influence points if handled strategically." Her mind raced. Who could have done this? She thought of her trusted ally, Min-suk, a junior executive she had mentored personally. A quick check revealed an unsettling fact: the leak had come from his account. Decision point: confront, strategize quietly, or retaliate. Suggested: strategic action maximizes points. Her heart clenched. Min-suk had always been loyal, or so she thought. But the system reminded her, betrayal is a part of life, especially in her position. She took a deep breath and composed herself, tapping the notification. System suggestion: use counter strategy to mitigate damage. Plus 50 influence points. At the next board meeting, murmurs filled the room. Harin, naturally, wore a satisfied smirk. "Seems the young heiress isn't as infallible as we thought," she whispered to a colleague. She ignored the jab, taking the system's advice to heart. Calmly, she presented a detailed defense: the campaign's projections, engagement statistics, and a phased rollout strategy, proving that the gala success was grounded in sound planning. Each slide and explanation was precise, her tone confident. Plus 100 influence points, reputation management successful. The board's skepticism softened. One executive leaned in, whispering approval. Harin's expression tightened, her plan to embarrass her clearly failing. But the personal sting lingered. Betrayal from someone she had trusted cut deeper than any rivalry. She retreated to her office, Ji-hoon appearing silently at the door. "You handled it beautifully," he said, his hand brushing a strand of hair from her face. His concern was genuine, and her chest warmed at the gesture. Plus 20 romance points. I trusted him, she admitted quietly. And he betrayed me. I don't know if I can. The system pinged. Emotional control detected, plus 30 influence points for resilience and measured response. Her gaze hardened. She would not allow this betrayal to destroy her. Instead, she decided on a course of action: confront Minute-suk privately, understand his motives, and turn the setback into leverage. Power, the system reminded her, was not just in victories, it was in surviving setbacks. Later that evening, she sent a secure meeting request to Minute-suk. The message was simple: meet me in my office. We need to discuss your recent actions. As she prepared for the confrontation, the system displayed the cumulative update. Daily update: influence points 950, wealth points 350, romance points 100, rival progress Harin 250 influence points. Tip: strategic retaliation can turn betrayal into opportunity. She exhaled slowly. One life had ended in betrayal, leaving her empty and penniless. In this one, betrayal was a challenge, and she intended to face it head-on, stronger and smarter than before. The young conglomerate's boardroom had never felt more like a battlefield. Every face around the table was poised, calculating, waiting for missteps. She had survived the gala, navigated betrayal, and even charmed Ji-hoon, but tonight, it was about strategy, influence, and taking control. The system pinged immediately as she entered. Mission: launch a strategic initiative to secure company influence and outmaneuver rivals. Reward: plus 300 wealth points, plus 200 influence points. Tip: leverage data, alliances, and diplomacy for maximum impact. Harin sat across the table, perfectly composed, her smirk a silent challenge. It was clear she had been plotting retaliation since the gala. The first round of discussions was tense. Executives debated a new product launch, voices rising, agendas clashing. She observed silently, letting Harin push ideas that seemed flashy but lacked substance. System tip: let the rival overextend, then present superior alternative. Plus 50 influence points. When the right moment came, she stood, projecting calm authority. I've reviewed the proposals and ran projections on market reception, supply chain feasibility, and long-term profitability, she said. Here's an alternative plan that optimizes our resources while targeting both new and loyal customers. This phased rollout reduces risk and maximizes influence in key markets. A few executives exchanged impressed glances. Harin's eyes widened slightly, the first crack in her perfect composure. The system rewarded her, plus 100 influence points. The discussion intensified. Harin attempted to counter, citing potential risks and emphasizing immediate returns. But she anticipated every objection, offering data-backed solutions and highlighting potential pitfalls in Harin's approach. Mini-mission: undermine rival strategy without direct confrontation. Reward: plus 100 influence points. The CEO leaned back, nodding slowly. Your plan is well considered. Proceed with implementation. Keep monitoring the metrics closely. The room erupted in murmurs of approval, her influence solidified. Harin's smirk had vanished entirely, replaced with a tight-lipped glare. After the meeting, she retreated to her office to assess the system updates. Daily update: influence points 1,350, wealth points 650, romance points 110, rival progress Harin 280 influence points. The system chimed again. New mission, consolidate alliances and prepare for final showdown. Reward, plus 200 influence points. She knew her next move was crucial. Harin would not give up easily, and her influence had grown, but only careful alliances with executives, department heads, and Ji-hoon could guarantee her future victories. Ji-hoon appeared in her office quietly, holding a stack of reports. I ran projections on your plan. It's solid, and I made a few refinements you might find useful. The system pinged. Romantic ally detected, plus 20 romance points, plus 50 influence points. She smiled, appreciating not just the help, but the subtle trust forming between them. Thank you, Ji-hoon. Together, we can make this work. Later, she sent discreet messages to key department heads, suggesting collaborations and offering incentives for support. By the end of the day, she had not only outmaneuvered Harin but created a network of allies who were ready to back her. The system flashed a final notification. Strategic power play complete, rival outmaneuvered. Reward, plus 300 wealth points, plus 200 influence points. Sitting back, she allowed herself a rare moment of satisfaction. Every calculated step, every careful alliance, had paid off. She had survived betrayal, mastered corporate challenges, and now, she was ready for the ultimate confrontation, the final steps toward wealth, influence, and her place at the top. The conference room gleamed with polished surfaces and bright lights, but tonight, it wasn't the grandeur of the young conglomerate that mattered, it was the culmination of years of strategy, perseverance, and careful maneuvering. She stood at the center, poised and confident, the embodiment of a woman who had mastered her second life. The system chimed softly in her mind. Final mission, consolidate wealth, influence, and relationships to unlock ultimate fortune. Reward, plus 1,000 wealth points, plus 500 influence points, ultimate status achieved. Tip, maintain diplomacy and strategic alliances. Romance points may unlock special bonus rewards. Harin, standing across the table, finally met her gaze without the usual smirk. I underestimated you, she admitted, her tone a mixture of respect and lingering rivalry. You've changed the game. The system pinged. Rival influence neutralized. Optional, forgive or cement superiority. Reward based on choice. She allowed a small, genuine smile. We've both grown, she said, her voice calm but commanding. But it seems I've learned a few more lessons about this company than you have. The boardroom erupted in applause, the executive's support clear. Every alliance she had nurtured, every strategy she had deployed, had culminated in this moment. The system updated her status. Ultimate fortune unlocked. Plus 1,000 wealth points, influence points, 1,850 romance points, 150 rival progress, Harin neutralized. Even Ji-hoon, who had quietly observed from the side, smiled warmly. Later, as the room cleared, he approached her. You've done it, he said softly. You've proven yourself in every way. She returned his smile, heart fluttering at the gentle weight of his admiration. We've done it, she corrected, recognizing the unspoken bond that had grown through shared challenges and mutual respect. Plus 30 romance points. In the days that followed, she consolidated her influence across the conglomerate, departments aligned with her vision, executives followed her lead, and the company's profits soared under her strategic oversight. Her relationship with Ji-hoon deepened, marked by quiet companionship and mutual trust. Even Harin found her place, not defeated, but transformed. The two sisters, once locked in rivalry, had reached an uneasy truce. Competition remained, but it was now tempered with respect rather than malice. The system chimed one final time. Congratulations, all major missions complete. Ultimate wealth and influence achieved. Life rewritten. She stood in the office overlooking the city skyline, the lights reflecting the vast empire she now commanded. The second life she had been given was not just about wealth or power, it was about mastering herself, navigating betrayal, forging connections, and embracing every opportunity with courage. A notification appeared in her mind, soft and almost gentle. Life status, complete. Future open-ended. Continue to grow, love, and lead. For the first time since her rebirth, she allowed herself to breathe fully, to savor the victory, the romance, and the hard-earned respect. The world lay before her, full of possibilities, and she was ready, not as the girl who had once been betrayed and penniless, but as the reborn heiress who had claimed her destiny. The city lights shimmered, a reflection of the empire she had built, the bonds she had formed, and the life she had rewritten with her own hands. And this time, she would never lose.